Hey, housewives, come on in. You know the dirty dishes are still in the sink from yesterday and the laundry is still in the basket. Pop your AirPods in and make yourself at home here.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Tori.
And we are your Unlikely Housewives. Stepping out in faith and believing that God calls the unlikely, we are here to show you the appreciation and validation you deserve, lead you to authentic relationships, and release you of believing the cultural lies to restore your faith and wellness.
Pull up those high-waisted yoga pants, tighten your top knot, and reheat your coffee for the third time. Turn up the volume, and let's go. Hey, housewives.
Hey, welcome back.
Oh, man, it is Delilah again, subbing in for Tori. I'm kidding. It's Tori still here with laryngitis. Keep the prayers coming. I'll get a voice back eventually. Otherwise, I'm going to start taking up smoking. So
maybe this is your perimenopausal
shut
voice
your mouth.
change, like
shut
puberty.
Shut your mouth about perimenopause and perimenopause.
There's a lot that goes along with that.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Ooh.
Just embrace it.
Well, now I'm having a hot flash.
Why aren't there fans in here?
What?
Why aren't there fans in here?
Yeah,
Kidding.
Sorry. Well, housewives, with that introduction, hopefully you recognize the voice. It is a dear friend of ours. We have brought her back. I get to do the informal introduction because you were the first guest we had on our podcast all those years ago. And you were sweet enough to sit on the floor in my closet.
We did try in the dining room, didn't we? We tried in the dining room at one point. And it wasn't working. There was a microphone thing. We were echoing. And so then we were like, let's go to the closet, Stephanie.
But we were also, at that point, we were still recording in my closet.
Yeah, I feel like it was a closet deal.
I think it was all closet. Yeah. Because we did. It was all closet because at that point we hadn't moved to the basement, then to the office, to the dining room.
I have a picture of the three of us sitting at the dining room table trying to record on your little silver microphone. Okay. We're going to have to pull these.
Oh, I
vaguely remember
that.
Photos.
Yeah, I do vaguely remember that, but I do remember being in the closet.
Yes.
Okay. That was the first episode first guest.
Yes, first guest episode.
Yep. Okay, Tracy, you can introduce her.
We have Stephanie Dulin. She is our dear friend that I met soon after I moved here and then quickly introduced her to Tori when Tori and I met. And we had her on at the beginning of our podcast journey, like 3 years ago, talking about her foster and adoption stories and just all of the things going through that. And it was going through it after 2020 and just all the things. So if you're in that season, go check out that episode with Stephanie Dulin back in 2021, I think.
Yeah.
22, maybe.
So.
It was somewhere around there. Yeah. I can't believe it's 25. Let's just say that.
But I will say this. If you need to be encouraged about your fostering and adoption journey and you're having a hard time now with the system, go and listen to her talking about being in the system during COVID.
Yeah.
And the
what a joy
that was. And so that'll make you just feel a little bit better that, thank God I'm doing it in 2025 and not 2020, 2021. So I will say that will be encouraging for you.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, we have talked to her about numerous things to join us in this summer series. And which
we can't say is a summer series anymore. This is
moving into the fall.
This is till the foreseeable future.
Yep. And I don't think we knew that was going to be the case, but God did. And he has extended this series well into the fall. We've continued to do the You Are Not Alone series. And we were talking to Stephanie about many of the topics. And one of the ones that she, has not talked about, I'm sure she's talked about publicly. Clearly, I know she has based on some of the stories you'll hear, but she was married before and divorced. And we are going to talk about that and kind of what that season is, because there's many people who've gone through that and they feel alone. And so we're going to just touch on that. But
especially in the Christian community.
Yes, exactly.
From a Christian point and that.
So just a formal welcome, Stephanie. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we also have to say that we may have the current social events have lit a little fire up under our butt. We're not going to lie. We did, because it has been a viral topic as of late, which was the affair that was publicly displayed for the entire world at a Coldplay concert between a CEO and an HR. And how that's gone is just incredible.
Quite timely with what we had been discussing.
We'd already been discussing.
Yes. Right.
So,
Quite timely. When I first saw the clip, of course, it was everywhere. And you at first didn't realize what was happening. And I watched it. And the first few seconds, of course, I'm thinking, lovely couple, kiss cam. I mean, who doesn't love a good kiss cam? I love the kiss cam.
I know.
And then my second thought was exactly what Chris Martin said out loud.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. I'm glad you said that. And then the third thought that crossed my mind was, oh my goodness, I am so thankful that social media wasn't a thing in 2002. 2002. It just, wow. And you're not carrying around pocket cameras back then. And
there's so many things that I'm so glad social media was not present for.
Yes.
And in the aughts and in the 90s. There's
definitely in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was in college.
Yeah. I was in high school.
Yeah. So those were.
It's crazy. But
my first thoughts when I saw that video.
Yes. And so the video is of Chris Martin making a comment after seeing Kiss Cam, this couple's reaction. She basically covers her face and dodges, and he's got
he turns,
he ducks, and it's the look. And so that doesn't, by the way, that doesn't make it any better. Just if they had just kissed and been done with it, like I guarantee
it probably wouldn't have it would have still come out because someone would have seen it. But it wouldn't have been
sensational.
Chris's comment was, oh, we just embarrassed them or caught them in an affair or something like that, right?
Yeah. He said something about they are either having an affair or very shy.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Oh, but yeah, because he wouldn't have dwelled on it had they just kissed and the camera guy would have moved on to another one. It would have been something completely different.
But that was the response, right? I mean, you think even correlating it with, Jesus walking into the garden.
Yeah.
Looking for Adam and Eve. Hey, lovely couple, where are you? And they're like, oh, we're naked.
Yeah, exactly.
They both duck. They both look for leaves. And I mean, if there was a Jumbotron back then, right?
Oh my gosh.
That is hilarious. Yes. Oh my God.
Jesus in the Jumbotron.
I just kind of want somebody to make a video of that. Let me put that in AI and see if it'll make a video for us.
AI totally do it.
Somebody do it for us.
Oh, someone can do it.
Okay. So that's okay. Now that we've talked about what the subject is, and that infidelity was a problem. It was something that you experienced in your first marriage, right?
Yes.
And then a divorce. But one of the things we were talking about with that in reference to this is how Christians are reacting, because Christians are reacting all over the spectrum of this, all across the board about this situation.
And let me say, just because I am not on social, you're referencing they're reacting on social because of it being such a viral thing, correct?
Yes. Okay. That's what I mean, and socially, it's totally going to be a thing now, right? I mean, the fact that his company came out and did a PR ad with Chris Martin's ex-wife. Did you see that?
No, I did
Gwyneth
not.
Paltrow? Yeah, she did. So Astronomer, the company, came out with an ad that with Gwyneth Paltrow and was trying to play it under. It's funny. It is funny. And I was like, wow, that's really clever. Like, it is. It's smart.
It is. Yeah, you got clever. Clever is creative, like when you're using
that is creative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Catches the attention. Yeah.
Yes.
Makes light.
So it was an interesting way for the company to take an aspect
I haven't seen that yet.
And so, because obviously they were implicated in this because it's a very large company and it is the CEO.
The HR.
And the HR, right.
I did wonder though, how they would have responded had someone come to them through the company and said, this is happening and there was proof. If the same thing would have happened, if they would have chosen to let them go from their jobs or make a PR statement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Versus the viral public video.
Yeah.
It exposing what was going on between these two people in the company.
Yeah.
Yes, because that does make it. I mean, it's a subordinate. I mean, companies have all those kinds of rules that you cannot have relations with people that report to you. Yeah, it would have been interesting to have a different. And I think most of the time, in another scenario, if it had been exposed, probably the HR, the woman would have had to been let go, and the CEO would have kept his job, and they would have just removed the issue. But we can talk about how that's a whole other set of problems.
I do think that could have happened for sure.
Yeah.
Had it not been public.
Yeah. But for the Christians, and to give you, if you haven't seen this, or just to remind you, if you're not seeing this on social media at the moment, and there have been Christians who have come out very publicly and have come out against all the people making light or making memes, being not playing off of this, doing the thing, laughing at the situation. And they're saying, how dare you make a mockery of God's covenant? You should be just as horrified that this, that this family is broken and that a family is torn apart and this man has lost everything and his, all of his assets, and he's having to do this. And, how dare you throw stones and make, basically. And then the other part we were talking about earlier was that then there's, I've laughed at some of them.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
when I saw the meme, it said, I didn't have Coldplay brings America together on my 2025 bingo card. But here we are. I mean, I laughed. I'm not going to lie. I laughed. I laughed when I saw the meme say, I didn't even know Coldplay was still making music, and I made 2 singles in one night. I mean, I did. I laughed.
Funny.
And it wasn't mocking the people involved or the families. It was just this unexpected situation that, again, the clever and the creativity, right? When you play off of something.
Right.
No, I absolutely have empathy for the families that have been affected by this. Absolutely. I'm hoping that this exposure to this particular affair also opened other people's eyes. Watch out for those jumbotrons. Maybe you should be careful where you're at.
Not doing that in public.
Condoning having an affair at all. But maybe it would help some people think twice, about would you want whatever behavior you're engaging in on a jumbotron? Would you want, people to know?
Right. What if somebody
that is part of exposure?
Somebody's filming you right now. How would you feel if this was all of a sudden on the jumbotron in front of your entire neighborhood? What kind of feeling would that give you?
Yeah.
Think twice. Conviction.
Well, and there's an aspect about conviction too, that you hope that exposure, you hope it becomes the conviction cam and not, just the kiss cam.
Right.
And that there's transformation from that, because there is at times, and in my experience, where there's blaming another person for their behavior and not taking accountability and not
ownership,
expressing ownership, or, validating that what they did was wrong.
Yeah.
And validating that other person's feelings. And so there is there are things that happen with exposure.
Yes. Well, and then personally, I think the people that are shaming, that are telling us all that we're horrible, how you're not showing the love of Christ when you repost this meme about this marriage, or you're not showing the love of Christ when you're, to me, I'm like, you made a good comparison. What did we watch before social media?
Yeah. The first thing I thought of was this was happening. I mean, before social media and TikTok videos and all this stuff.
Yeah.
We sat around and watched America's Home Videos, right? Yeah. America's Funniest Home Videos. And
with Bob Saget.
What did you,
House Dad.
Right. What did you do when someone fell or, oh my goodness, or You do.
Oh, and you laugh.
You laugh. And it's not laughing at the pain. It's not laughing at the injury. It's not laughing at that person directly, but it's that unexpected, that surprise, that, whoa, I did not expect that to happen. I did not expect your body to contort that way or whatever.
Yes.
It wasn't a laugh at that particular person. It's the situation, and social media has just, it's supersized.
Oh yeah. It's just put a magnifying glass on everybody's sinful natures, right? Like, and things that go wrong and things that people are, involved in. I mean, the magnifying glass is just everywhere. And so there's, you don't get to hide from things as much.
Yeah. No, but I also think we've started to take ourselves too seriously. I think that is something, comedians are canceled left and right for saying certain things. Things can't be funny anymore because it's, whatever. And I think this is something, it's not like we don't know people who have been, or been part of a marriage that were cheated on or something like that. Because we do. Those people are among us, and we have those friends, and us making light of the situation is certainly not making light of your situation, right? And you know that, Stephanie. Like if somebody's posting one of those, reposting, you're not thinking, oh, she meant that at me. She meant that, like we're taking ourselves too seriously and trying to make, this is not what it is.
And who knows how many people were at that concert or anywhere that are actually engaging in an affair.
Right.
They just happen to be the ones that
got caught
on the not on camera.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about how because your first marriage ended in divorce with infidelity, and you were, I'm going to say, brave enough to share your testimony at a church because you were asked, right?
Yeah, I think that I don't really remember how it came to be, but it was either asked or offered to talk about my testimony at a women's event.
Yes. And it was something that, again, and 20 plus years ago, right?
I mean, my divorce it's been 22 years since I've been divorced. This was probably, I don't know, maybe a decade ago or so. Okay. I mean, it's been a long time.
Still, but I mean, so all that's just, I mean, the church hasn't changed all that much. I mean, we've only just gotten worse, I think. But so when you shared your testimony about this and how you handled it, what would you say, what was the reaction? How was it received?
I shared it partly just, again, a test becomes a testimony, a mess becomes a message. It's that thing of, what did I learn from this situation? How did I grow within myself, within my relationship with God? Just sharing my experience. It's my story. It's part of my story. Have I ever wished that I could rip this chapter out? Why not? Yeah, sure. There has been times, but I can't rip this chapter out of my book. It's part of my book. It's part of my story. It's part of my experience. And so you don't ever know who it may help.
Right.
No matter what you've been through, you don't know who it might help. So I thought, yes, I'm definitely willing to share what I went through. I wouldn't say it was received with open arms. I don't have any problems with crowds. I teach classes. I teach fitness classes. I'm among a lot of people. So I feel like I articulated my story well. But at the same time, that same evening, there was a couple other people that shared their testimony, and they were all different. I don't remember necessarily who they were, what the details of their stories were, but I do remember that there was someone that shared, and I believe it was some sort of unhealthy relationship. I don't remember the details. Again, not my story to tell. But that person ended up staying in this unhealthy relationship. And my story, I didn't. I chose to get divorced, and I do and did have reasons behind that. And afterwards, after we both shared and the event was over, it seemed like there was a lot of people around this person just really giving her praise for her testimony, a lot of affirmation. I wasn't looking for accolades. Don't get me wrong. I didn't need, everyone to come up to me. I didn't need flowers or a party. That's not what I was saying at all. But there was not anybody that really said much to me afterwards. And it almost felt like it's because I chose to leave. It's because I chose divorce. It's because I chose what was wrong in their eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe. Again, I can only assume because no one really talked to me about it afterwards. So yeah, it was definitely not what I expected. I did have a friend with me that night, and she was, just an awesome friend. So she was very much validating my feelings and my testimony that I was sharing. But yeah, it was not a group that made me feel like
you were loved.
I was loved. Yes. Yeah. I guess that, and for the lack of better terms.
Well, and it's just another one of those many scenarios we're talking about in this series is you're not alone, but you felt very alone because people aren't talking about what you were willing to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, you said it was almost a decade ago, and here we are, and we're still talking about things that people aren't willing to talk about.
It's very taboo to talk about Christians getting a divorce because well, you didn't pray hard enough, or you didn't,
you didn't try hard enough. You didn't do enough. You didn't.
Right. Like
you weren't committed.
Yeah. People wonder because God can do all things. So you didn't trust him enough to stay, or you didn't trust him, it's almost as well. I believe that God he can do all things. And then you see somebody divorce and you're like, well, God, obviously he wants marriage. He believes marriage is a covenant and that, but we also have to know that we live in a broken world and God uses all things, but we forget that part.
Yeah.
When we are looking at others, we forget that maybe the divorce is exactly what you needed to get your beautiful family, your beautiful kids, like your wonderful husband. That's God. I mean, and we forget that part.
Yeah.
When we're ready to judge, be like, you didn't pray about it. You didn't work. You didn't give it enough time. You didn't see enough or you saw the wrong counselor or whatever. And I think Christians are very quick to assume those things when people turn around and say, okay, well, my husband and I are getting a divorce. And you're like, what? You show up every Sunday with us. What happened?
And I think we've walked through this with a couple of friends, more recent. And obviously I didn't know you when you walked through this at that time, but there are a lot of things of just accepting what someone tells you as their truth, right? You don't have to, as that's their story, and you don't have to judge what they went through, what, they didn't go through. It's just, that's what you want to receive, or that's how you should receive it, I should say, so that you can sit in it with them.
Yeah.
And, it's hard sometimes, when you're like, wait, I just didn't see that coming. I thought you guys were, the happy, perfect couple. You went to church, you checked the boxes, you did all the things. Well, no one knows what goes on in everybody's home behind closed doors.
Yep. Yeah.
And we only share what you're comfortable sharing. We obviously are more open books than others, maybe too much. But we feel that there's a space for it that needs to be talked about. Yep. And I think that what we've been uncovering in this whole series, and especially in this, infidelity happens and it's unfortunate. It's sin, but we don't talk about it like we talk about other things. And, there's a lot of people who are alone, who feel alone in that topic, and I'm sure that there was a lot of, with all this going viral that we were referencing, there's a lot of people that were sitting there placing their self in the shoes of that woman or that man, or the woman who wasn't at the Coldplay concert.
Yeah.
The wife that was at home that had no idea what was coming.
Yeah.
And maybe she did. No one knows the story. We don't know they don't know their true story. We just know
but there's also, we were talking about this earlier too, a lot of times, and I will say as women, we can do this, especially, having a friend that go through it. We automatically want to defend our friend and take their side when in the situation, it's almost, hey, both are sinners.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that. I mean, it still sucks for both, no matter who did what. It still sucks.
Yeah.
It's still, and it still takes two to tango and two to walk apart. I mean, so I think sometimes like friends get overly protective and demonize the other person when, we don't know. Yeah. They have a story too, but I wouldn't have, like, having a first marriage. Okay, so my parents were married previously before they got married. And then Andrew's parents were both married. And so my parents both have been divorced once. So their first marriages failed and then they married each other. And so that's part of, I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to talk, that aspect.
Beauty can come from ashes, and all ashes, not just one area.
Right.
God uses all things, and sometimes it's just a detour,
Yeah. But why do you think do you think people are afraid to offend you by talking about divorce? Or when you were going through it, did you feel like you had friends who were almost overly pushy for you to stay? Steph?
There were definitely a few people that I would say were encouraging that. But for the most part, I think that what I had shared up to that point, I had known the whole time. I just didn't have proof. I was waiting around for the proof.
Gotcha.
Because I felt like I needed that in order to be released from this commitment. Yeah. I needed that to move on. I didn't want to be flippant about this decision. This was a big decision.
Yeah.
So honestly, when I did make the decision to divorce, I had my proof. And so there was a lot of relief for me, honestly. It was kind of like I'm not crazy,
right.
Stop making me feel like I'm crazy, because I never was crazy. I saw the signs, I addressed the signs, and I just kept being told I was crazy and you don't know what you're talking about. And
can you tell our listeners what some of those signs were for you?
Let's see. Well,
I don't want any listeners overthinking this. Okay. By the way, this is just like for you.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Don't all of a sudden start analyzing everything that your husband but if he's going to a Coldplay concert, maybe ask him. But or if he's also, maybe if he's going to a Major League Baseball game or just watch the kiss cam on the TV. It's
be aware.
Just ask him who he's going with. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, like, what were some of the things that you were like, well, I know being told you're crazy, you're making things up, like, that's definitely something. Okay, it's redirecting all of that.
So I was very young. Okay. And this was, I feel like, almost a different day and age, right? This was 25 years ago when I got married.
Social media.
So, prior social media, you didn't have the verbiage of gaslighting and narcissism in vocabulary different within your realm. And there was definitely a lot of that going on, where I would see something that seems like you're flirting and what, and there was definitely a lot of flirting. This was a coworker of his, and they hung out a lot before work, after work, a lot.
Yeah.
And there were many situations where something would happen and I would say, well, that doesn't look right, doesn't feel right. And again, I was kind of brushed to the side. There was also a time where we were at the grocery store and a student, so they were teachers, a student was helping check out and made the comment, "Oh, this is your wife? I thought you were married to so-and-so." It was little things like that. So many different things.
That's a little thing. I'm sorry. This is your wife?
Wow, I didn't even know. And
wait, she's not the mistress?
Right.
Hold on.
Wait, what? You're wait.
And then the response to that was, oh, you must be.
It was laughed off. Oh, right. We work together, of course we're together a lot, and.
Oh my gosh. It's funny.
Yeah, there was.
I'm thinking, so pardon me. I mean, I'm thinking, and this is going to show my age. I'm sorry. But text messages. Like looking at
there were no texting.
Right. There was no texting.
No text.
It was not looking at somebody's cell phone. It was not,
But they called each other a lot. Again, they hung out a lot before and after work, summertime. And it was just a lot. It was a lot. And I kept saying, you're playing with fire. This is not valuing our relationship. You really can't have this close of a friendship with the opposite sex while you're married. But again, I was just kind of crazy. So there were definitely things that I knew and I sensed. And I did address, actually.
So what advice would you give someone that is currently in that kind of situation where maybe they do they know, and maybe they're with the idea that they need to have the proof for their closure? What advice would you give them?
Trust your gut, for sure. Number one, trust your gut. As a Christian, you don't want to find people that condone or affirm sinful behavior, for sure. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think empathy plays a huge role in relationships.
Yeah.
And finding someone that could truly empathize with why you are where you're at, how you're making decisions.
I think that's valuable advice in anything that you're going through. A couple of the conversations that we've had this summer or this past summer were when people feel like they don't know what the next step is or what to do. That's when you're alone and that's when you're stuck. And it's like we've been saying, you need community. You need people to walk through all of what you're going through together. Otherwise, one, you do feel alone, and two, could make an irrational decision, or not making a decision is also staying stuck. So, that's great advice for anybody who's in a really hard place.
Well, and I'll say that it's always fantastic to, one, I'm going to say, know scripture. How do you know what God's saying if you don't know what he said? If you don't know what his words are in the Bible, you don't know what we all hear the people that go up to pastors and they're like, mega church guys that are, just like, God told me that you need to give all your money to this for this, that's not what you need to be able to discern that for yourself. So the reading of God's word and knowing God's word, which I'll give a shout out to the Bible recap, is an excellent way to tackle that. Yes, I am still going through all of that I may be a couple multiple digits behind, but I'm in it. I'm doing it, Tracy. So that's
all will be a catch-up time.
This is my accountability.
Great reference.
And then, but two, it's also having people who will call balls and strikes for you.
Yeah.
Because Tracy, you're that I can say, I'm looking at it this way. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
And I had a friend recently who struggling marriage, and they would say, okay, this is what I'm going through. This is the reaction. Here are the steps that I'm thinking of taking. And I don't take credit for any of it because Lord knows my mouth says a lot of stupid crap. So anything wise or smart that comes out of my mouth is not me. It's the Holy Spirit by God's grace and God's grace alone. But something would come to me and I would be like, yes, but have you done this? Or have you looked at it this way? And, don't forget that, you're making a plan 6 steps ahead when God just wants you to open up the door. Like, you don't need to be making plans of where you're going to live yet.
Yeah.
Like, the first step is having the conversation, And so that was really, I'm very thankful that one, my friend felt comfortable enough to talk to me about that and come to me. And then two, that it was a blessing for me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at the same time, I was getting stuff from it. And I'm like, oh, dang. But yeah, somebody who can speak scripture to you also, like, that calls the balls and strikes.
Because when you're in it, it's the only focus you have. You get very narrow-minded. And I went through, I was physically and mentally a mess during that time. I don't know if there were definitely times I wasn't thinking straight, for sure, because I was such a mess, such a mess. And again, I think that's why once I had proof, it was such a relief.
Yeah.
And I just thought that's exactly what I needed to make that decision.
Mm-hmm. And then look at you now. 22 years
22,
later?
Yeah, 22 years later.
It's crazy how God uses people, seasons.
Well, we've said this when people come on here and they're telling their story that is now a mission, mission field is even this, you telling the story, it's for the one, it's going to help someone. And sometimes it takes, 30 days and you're ready to say it. And some days it takes 10 years. And, we had someone on recently that was talking about her giving up her baby for adoption. And she came to her when she was 18 and found her, and how she carried that for 18 years and didn't tell anybody, like, you're burdened with the secret. But there's so many things that, like, once it's out, it's such it's just the enemy doesn't have a hold anymore on the story, and God can use it how he wants to.
Yeah. And for anybody that's thinking that, okay, I don't have this community, I would encourage you, the only way that you can get the kind of community is being your authentic self. And I would say that. Transparency. So if you have a group of girlfriends and you don't feel like you can tell everything to everyone, or if there's not one person in there, you can be like, look, this is where I hid the body. Will you help me dispose of it? And not ask any question.
Always your reference.
It is, because every time the meme, and I loved it. It was like, why is disposing a body like the standard of friendship? I mean, there's a couple of things I do, but I'm disposing a body. I'm not going to do that.
I'm thinking of a Dixie Chick song.
Yeah. Because what does the meme say? Oh, the meme says because digging, I'd have to dig a hole, and digging a hole is really hard. I was just like, okay, that's funny. But anyways. But if you don't have
making light of pain,
exactly.
Right?
Yes, you need to listen to our episode on grief.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. But it was
a good episode. The point was that she uses humor.
Season to laugh, season to grieve.
Well, and we all use different, sometimes it's humor, sometimes we're crying. It just, when we're walking through stuff, and you can have both.
You can.
Yes. That's the conversation.
Yes,
that's
you can.
The conversation we had on that episode.
I will say this, if you think that you're like me in the aspect of that, humor has always been a way that I could tell who my people are. If making that comment, I'm having y'all laugh. Y'all know me and know that I'm not hiding something out. Okay.
We are not going to look through the house.
We're not going to look. But like,
you will find a lot of skeletons in her closet.
Yes, you will.
But that's finding, like, people that have your sense of humor are probably the people that, one, you can't offend, that are going to be more open to hear, like, your authentic self. Like, they're a great person to start with if you're looking for that one person to have. And I would highly encourage that, because humor is if you have the same sense of humor as people, then I think that is a good, because I can just hear somebody saying, I don't have that. I want that. Mm-hmm. How do I get that? And just start with who you know, and then who laughs like you do, who finds humor in student. Like, those are the people that it's good to start with. Okay. So to bring this episode full circle, I think we have a couple of takeaways, right? For the first, find a person that you can, right? Maybe don't go to a Coldplay concert or
anything that has a kiss cam.
Which most major events now do.
Yes.
And if it's not a kiss cam, it's someone's pocket phone.
Yes.
You know, I mean, everyone has a camera on their phone. So
yeah, exactly.
it can go viral whether it's a Jumbotron or not.
Yes. That's a good reminder. You can go viral in your own community with your own.
Yes.
And so I also, find a person. And if you're doing something that you wouldn't want everybody to know, maybe stop doing that. And then also, like Stephanie said, trust your gut. Because I think that's a gift that God gives us a lot too.
Absolutely.
And if anything, it's, but also sometimes you go, it's not the path of the least resistance. Sometimes it is divorce where you don't think that's where God would take you, but sometimes.
Yeah, I did not get married to get divorced for sure.
Yeah. Right.
That was, I did not want that.
Right. You married
I
for
didn't
life.
want that story. I didn't want that chapter to be written, but it did. It got written.
Yeah.
And God uses it all.
Yes, he sure does.
And I think too, we all cope with things differently as well. And that's okay. Some people have to laugh things off. Some people need to be alone. Some people need, a group to hold them up. Yeah. I found that writing my feelings down really helped. So that's kind of how I coped. So everybody's story is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get chapters we don't want all the time.
Yes. And you're not alone.
And you're not alone in that. So,
yes.
All right, housewives. Until next time. Bye.
Whether we made you laugh or cry today, we pray you feel appreciated, bolder and braver than yesterday, stronger and more faithful for tomorrow, and living in who you were made to be today.
Join our online community on Facebook, link in the show notes, and be sure to review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you enjoy listening. Until next time, housewives, we give you permission to walk confidently, free, and to be intentional in your slippers or stilettos.